Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And first of all, I'd like to thank you for stepping up and serving again. It's not an easy task, and I know it well, but thank you for going the front line again. Just to follow up on the Tijuana sloughs, as you know, if the currents and tides are right, it exits the Tijuana River, and then it in a big eddy, and if the tide is right, it goes into the bay, and the seals aren't going to move training. As far as the congressional side of funding, I've seen figures from $350 million to $700 million on what our piece is. Do you have an estimate of what we need to fund on that side to have, and I agree with your 100% solution, do you have an estimate on what Congress needs to put forth on our funding side?
So I don't have in front of me the skinny budget for anything other than EPA. So I don't know if there's a line in there or lines in there as it relates to IBWC and South Bay. There has been hundreds of millions of dollars appropriated by Congress towards upgrading the treatment plant. That is important, and that's a key aspect of the 100% solution, getting more capacity into South Bay, not just at the end of the project, but also in between, to be able to boost 5-10 million gallons per day before completing the full project. Being able to do that soon would be very helpful. I would say that it's coming from Mexico. And the idea that we're just going to allow the raw sewage to come into the United States, and we're just going to deal with everything at the U.S. taxpayer expense on our side is the wrong answer. That's not the message that should be sent to Americans. It's not the message that should be sent to Mexicans. It's important for Mexico to clean up the raw sewage coming from Mexico, and Congress has already appropriated hundreds of millions of dollars. But again, I don't have the skinny budget in front of me. I want to clear up one other point that's important to you, I'm sure. When I was in San Diego, I visited the Naval Special Warfare School, and it was briefed on the latest. The Navy SEALs are not swimming in raw sewage and getting sick from raw sewage. However, what is happening is that there are training impacts. So where they would go out into the water, as you were pointing out with the flows, they may have to do something else with their training. Maybe they're swimming in their pool or some other location instead of being in the water. So that's one of the misunderstandings that's out there. Maybe that's based off of information in the past, but to be able to give the most accurate, real-time info from that visit when I was there a couple weeks ago, the commander made it very clear that he does not have his Navy SEALs swimming in raw sewage. They keep an eye on the water quality, and if they feel like it's not safe, they find some other way to train those sailors in order to hit their requirements. And again, at risk, I know this is your time and not mine, but when we came in that freshman class, there were two last names in that freshman office lottery, and I just want to apologize right now on the record because there were two numbers that were left, 10 and 41, and I left you a really bad office when I pulled that 10. So my formal apology here on the record, Congressman.
But there's also, I was in charge of SEAL training, and there's flesh-eating diseases, and you have things coming out of that river that aren't necessarily sewage. And as a surfer, Tijuana Sloughs is a great surfing spot, and that's a problem too. But I also want to thank you for rescinding the rule on particulate on Colstrip. The former administration targeted Colstrip. Then Colstrip is our key energy producer on the east side of Montana. Without it, lights are going to go off. But it was really a rule to target it on particulate. That the Colstrip facility meets the toxins and the mercury standards, which we agree with, but particulate is dust. And there's more dust going up a road in Montana on gravel than there is coming on at stacks, but I greatly appreciate it on behalf of Montanans. And lastly, unfunded mandates. There's a lot of little communities out there that are struggling with unfunded mandates when the agency comes across, and in some cases, our drinking water, because we do have a lot of of minerals in our drinking water. Sometimes the standard leaving these facilities is greater than the input. I mean, if you're getting water out of a stream or a source, these small communities are mandated to clean the water up more than the input. Are you looking at the unfunded mandates that the states have to face, particularly rural America?
Sure, Congressman. When EPA engages in these primacy requests, these state implementation plans, the requests that come in from states, we want to partner with states. We are not in any of these conversations trying to bring down a heavy hand of government to have an unrealistic, unobtainable decision where the local government is unable to be able to hit that demand that's coming from Washington, D.C. This gets to an exchange that I had earlier with the ranking member on PFAS, where it's a very important concern that Americans have as it relates to PFAS contamination in their drinking water, but a small local drinking water system is coming through their member of Congress and saying, we can't hit that date in your regulation. However, if we had 2 more years, this is our plan to hit it. And having that type of flexibility and also providing technical assistance is something that EPA has many tools to be able to assist with.
I appreciate it. I appreciate your sensitivity on it because, rural America does things a little different. Out there, and we're not Washington, D.C., and sometimes a holding pond is a great. It's been out there since 50, 60 years, and that's probably the best, most efficient way to handle it. So I greatly appreciate, again, your time and being here and your honesty, and you're willing to work with us on it. And if you do have any idea and can find your staff what an obligation on the congressional side for appropriations would look like on San Diego, then we would love that number. And thank you. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
And go Army.
You just have to say that.
Sorry, your time's expired.
We were trying to make this a non-controversial hearing, but
Just Mr. Chairman, if I may, the Constitution maintain a Navy and raise an Army. You might want to think about that.
Ms. Binkley.